Hey everyone, so this week's theme on Our Surviving Camera is to tell a story, and so I'm going to tell a story about what it was like when I moved from Charlotte, North Carolina to Virginia, where I currently live. So when I lived in Charlotte, North Carolina, I still did move around a lot. Basically, I went to a bunch of different schools. I went to 3 different preschools, 3 different elementary schools. I mean, it was pretty hectic. But part of the reason why I went to so many elementary schools is because they built a new one and I just lived in that zone. But I did move around quite a bit when I was younger. We lived in one house that got infested with termites. And then we moved to a rental house, and while we were at the rental house, I think we only lived there for like 1 year, or maybe 2, before they were building up a new subdivision, and so we went to go move to this subdivision. They had like 1 empty lot amongst a bunch of houses. It was very strange, and so we went to go live in that house. And I moved into that house starting my 2nd grade year. And I actually lived there all up until I moved to Virginia. I moved to Virginia 2 days before the start of my 8th grade year. Now, usually, why do I keep saying I'm sorry. Usually before the start of a school year, you are given a chance to tour the school and see what classes you have and all that stuff. So I was really hoping I would have that chance. I did not. So basically, my dad's work transferred him up to Virginia, and it was the hardest move I'd ever gone through, and that's because I had actually started forming strong friendships. And so I had my 13th birthday party in August of that year, and my dad went to go unenroll me from Charlotte Mecklenburg County schools, and he went to go enroll me in the school that I would be going to in Virginia, but he enrolled me so late that the only classes left were year-long Fit for Life, which is basically a year-long extreme gym class. And I'm obviously so athletic, right, guys? No, I died in that class. It was horrendous. We moved up to Virginia. It was about a 5-hour drive, 4.5 hours. So it wasn't too bad, but it was the first time I had ever lived outside of Charlotte, North Carolina. The school was huge. It was 2 stories. I'd never seen a 2-story school before that wasn't a high school. I'd never been inside of a 2-story school before, so it was very, very intimidating. On the very first day of school, which was 2 days after we first moved in, and it was so bad. The first day of school was so horrible. I walked into the school not knowing what it looked like, and I just kept walking and walking and walking, and there were a bunch of people. So I went to the office because I didn't have a schedule. They never gave me a schedule. They didn't mail me a schedule because I had only lived there for 2 days. And so I went to the office, and they said, oh, you have to go to the guidance counselor office, it's this way. So I went to the guidance counselor office, and I asked for my schedule, and I looked at my schedule, and it was not right. I was very confused. It was not the classes my dad said that I was supposed to have. My dad said that I was supposed to have like an art class, a Fit for Life class, and then some drama class or something. And all I remember is I did not have those classes. I was very, very confused. And so I took my schedule and I tried to go up to the 8th grade hall. And I remember in Charlotte we had A days and B days, but in the Virginia school system that I go to, we call it odd days and even days, but I had never seen anything that said O. And so when it said, what day do you see this, it was an O. I was very confused. I was like, what does that mean? And then I saw the E and I was like, does that mean every day? I don't know. And so then I walk into the first class late. I walk into this class late. I'm already late to this first class. And the guy's calling the roll and he goes, oh, so are you Tia? And this person, Tia, goes, yeah, that's me. And then he says to me, well, what's your name? Because I don't have you listed on here. So I go and I take my schedule, and he looks at me and he goes, oh, you see this O? That means odd. Today's the 6th. And I'm like, way to be so condescending. Thanks, science teacher. And so he says, you need to go down this hall to the even day teacher, the social studies teacher. So I walk into the social studies class later, like even more late. It was horrible. And she's like, oh, you must be this person that we've been waiting on. I'm like, yeah, that's me, hi. And so I sit at the very, very edge in the very front of the classroom because I didn't even want to try and go see other people because I was so embarrassed. It was horrible. I showed up to that class like 15 minutes late. It was awful. And the teacher was basically like, oh, you're the new kid. I was like, yeah, it's obvious, isn't it? It was very obvious. And so she hands me a card and she says, we're discussing topics and blah, blah, blah. And I look at this card and up in the corner it says 1, and I was like, that's a little suspicious. And it says, reasons why kids should not have homework. Like, I look at this and I went, oh crap. Because at my thought I was thinking, I mean, in a way, isn't homework a good way to like boost your grade up if you get bad grades on tests or get extra practice or something? And so I was like, I don't agree with what this says. Like, it says kids shouldn't have homework. And I'm thinking, I really hope she doesn't call me because I don't want to seem like a kiss up on the very first day of school when I've already showed up 15 minutes late. But of course, the teacher says, all right, let's start with the first card. Who's got card number 1? And I look at it and I go, oh. So she makes me stand up and I have to introduce myself. And of course, everyone has already whispered about me and looked at me. And it was embarrassing. And it says reasons why kids shouldn't have homework. And I was like, and the teacher says, talk about why you agree with this statement. And then she looks at me and she says, or why you disagree. And so I said, yeah, actually I disagree because I think that it's a good way to like boost your grade up if you get really bad test scores or like if you're not good at testing, because some people have like test anxiety and stuff like that. And it offers for extra practice or something. And so she was like, oh, okay, alright. And then a girl in the back calls me out and she was like, oh my god, I hate homework. No one should ever have homework. And I'm thinking, instantly, this is completely awkward and uncomfortable and just, ugh. So then after that class, I went to go to, math class. Yeah, I went to go to my math class, and the teacher basically told us that we were allowed to come talk to her about anything. And so at the end of that class, I went to her and I was like, hey, my schedule wasn't right. They told me that I was supposed to have these classes, but I don't have these classes. And so she said, here, I'll walk you to the guidance counselor's office and you can go get your classes changed. So we walked me down to the guidance counselor's office, and we changed my classes so that I was in a year-long Fit for Life and so that I was in the Spanish class that they had on the opposite day. And so I was in the guidance counselor's office for about 15 minutes trying to adjust my schedule. And so what does that mean? That means I was late to another class. Ugh. So I was talking to the guidance counselor and she says, here, let me walk you down to the gym room, like the gymnasium, so that you can get to your class and you'll have an excuse for why you were being late. So I walk in and instantly the teacher says, oh yeah, okay, it's alright, just come right in here. Instantly the teacher says, yeah, alright, come on, come here, we're gonna get you your lock and whatnot and blah blah blah. And so these very obviously popular girls tried to talk to me, and I was very confused. I was like, why are they talking to me? I'm obviously an awkward new kid, and I don't even look like I would be cool. So then after the gym class was when we had lunch. Now the gym is directly across from the cafeteria, and so I walk into the cafeteria, and in Charlotte we always had to sit with our class. Like, you could sit, like, there were long rectangular tables, and you could sit anywhere on the rectangular table, but you had to sit at the one that was assigned for your class. And it's not like that at the middle school that I went to once I moved to Virginia. So I walk in, and there was a teacher there, and I look at her, I said, oh, do we have to sit with our classes? And she goes, nope, you can sit wherever you want. And instantly I kind of, like, my heart sunk, because I'm thinking, where the heck do I sit? I have no friends. I don't know anyone here. What the heck do I do? So I started roaming towards the back of the cafeteria, and this cafeteria is massive. It is the largest cafeteria that I had ever seen. It's even larger than the cafeteria I have in my high school now. So I'm walking all the way to the back, all the way to the back, all the way to the back. Some people are already sitting with their friends, and you can tell these people are chatting, they're so excited, blah, blah, blah. And they're like all happy to be 8th graders now. And so I kept walking and walking and walking all the way to the back, all the way to the back. And I remember there was one girl who was eyeing me, and we made eye contact, and it was obvious I didn't know what I was doing. And she says, she just kind of looks at me, and I look at her, and then I walk over and I go, hey, can I sit here? And she goes, yeah, sure. And so she sits there, and another girl sits with us. And I remember they were like big anime fans, and I was not really an anime fan. It was very uncomfortable. And so then after lunch is when we went to our English class. And so I went to my English class, and once the English class was over, I don't remember anything particularly eventful happening in my English class on the first day of school in terms of like bad first day stories. So then after that was when we were getting off, and we were getting out of school, and we were getting onto the buses. And so I got onto the bus. I remember I was roaming, looking through the buses, because they had their buses parked one in front and one in behind. So I had to walk through a bunch of buses just to try and find my bus. It was ridiculous. So I got in the bus. We're waiting. We were one of the absolute last buses to leave. So we're waiting, and then we go and we leave, and my house ended up being a 30-minute bus ride. So it was an insane first day. I remember I got home and I just started crying because I was so embarrassed of the fact that I was late to my classes. I had no friends. People were very, very forward with me, and I was very, very shy and awkward because I had only been in Virginia for 2 days, and some people were very like abrasive with me. I remember one girl, right before English class even started, she walked up to me, or no, maybe this was right after English class finished. She walked up to me, and she grabbed me, and she put her arm around me really, really hard, really fast, and she pulled me over, and she said, hi, what's your name? And then she was like, oh, we're gonna be great friends. And I'm like, you're joking me. This really is uncomfortable. I don't want to be friends with someone who chokes me. So it was nothing like I'd ever expected before. It was insane. And I just remember I was not looking forward to the second day. But I hope you enjoyed my story about what it was like moving to Virginia in my first day of school. So make sure that if you haven't already, you watched Anna's video from Monday, and make sure that you stay tuned for Riley's video that's coming up tomorrow. I'll put my links to my stuff down below so you can subscribe to my main channel. Alright, bye!